Hi, Brandon Clistridge here from Guided Marketing. Today I want to show you guys how to do body copy. This is going to be the whole structure of the ad, and let's dive into that real quick so we can show you that. Okay, so today we're going to talk about body copy. This is how to build an ad. Mainly the body, because I already did the headline. So let's dive into that real quick here. So this is going to be structure of an ad, a sales letter, whatever you want to call it. It's the same thing. So you want to give the customer results in advance. I really want you to think on that really hard, and I want you to really concentrate on that. And as you watch other people make ads, you're going to see how they give you the results in advance. And I made an example here so you can see. All right, so right below it here in blue, how I made $20K in 5 days on automation. So there's parts of that and structures to that, but I want to show you first the results in advance. So see how that talks about money right there. It could be anything really. So, but 20K is the results that you want. You want to draw like the reader in. You want to pull them in. You want to create their curiosity, and you want them like a light bulb to go off in their head about something that's like, that's what I want. Okay, 20K in 5 days. Bam, those are results in advance. That's what I want. So when you're making an ad, that's actually going to be your headline. You want to draw their attention in. You really want your customer to want that. If you don't have that, you're not going to have an ad that works. It's just pretty much plain and simple. That's the first thing to see. This is the most important thing you could do, is make something strong that creates desire. So if it takes you a while to do it, I would recommend spending a ton of time on it. Make sure it's really good. And I'll break the headline down a little bit. I have another ad, or I have another, it's another YouTube video that talks about just headlines. And but I'll break this one down for you a little bit since you're here. So the key is to create big desire. The result in advance, your headline, is to create big desire. It's 100% of everything because it's super important. It's the first thing to see. If you don't stop the customer, the person, we call that pattern interrupt. If you don't interrupt their day of all the other ads that's going on, they're seeing. I mean, the average person sees a million ads. They see a million ads. They see a ton of ads per day. So if you don't have something great that's better than everybody else, they're not going to stop them and get their attention. And your ads are just going to perform very bad. You're going to obviously see, you're spending money on ads. It's not going to perform well. So let's break this down a little bit here. 20K result you want. That's the results that they want, right? So you got to draw them in with that. 5 days means it's something quick. So when you're making a headline, you want to make something quick, fast, easy. And the last part is automation. That kind of clicks a light bulb in their head, makes them think, okay, this is something easy that I can get. So headline, the headline is to get attention, to reach out to the person, reach out to their problem. You want to create curiosity. You want to make that light bulb go off in their head. Okay, so now this is going to be the part of the ad. Number 2 is where the ad starts. So after they see the headline, they're going to go down to the second part and see where you're calling out to the problem in a question. So you're going to ask them a question, and it's going to be the pain, or their problem. If it's money, like this ad's kind of about money, you could say, hey, are you having, a trouble with making your ads work? Or, obviously that can cause a money issue with spending. So you can reach out to that. You want to spend a ton of time of really thinking about your customer. Most of these ads, when they're built by the best of all time, they really talk about, all the copywriters talk about they spend about a month on time when they think and build their ads. You don't have to do that. You don't have to spend ads, and nobody's paying you, unless they are, paying you $100,000, $200,000, $200,000 to copyright a letter. But when they do that, they spend a little bit of time there to really see what their customer or avatar's problems are, so they can call out to them. If I know exactly what the problems are in your head, and I call out to them right away, you're like, yeah, that aligns with me. Bam, your attention is grabbed. So that's where you want to grab attention to grab your attention to the reader there. That's how this works. You make a light bulb go off in their head. You talk to their problem. It's going to align. Then you guys are kind of on the same level there. It draws them into the next part. Then you talk about how you discovered the one thing. So you got the problem in their head. Then you talk about how you solved that problem with the one thing. And that draws them in even more. Like, oh, okay, they got a solution to this problem. And then you talk about it a little bit. Talk about how I discovered the one problem that solved that pain point. And then we call that a loop. So you say, but first, I want to tell you my story here. So what you're doing is you're drawing them in. Right now, they think you're going to solve a problem for them. They're super excited. Their brain is going, okay, yep, they're solving it. I want this. It's good. They're aligning with my problem. But first, so when you close that, when you keep that loop open, it creates curiosity in their mind, and they can't help. It releases dopamine, and it can't help them but to keep searching. So dopamine, once you release dopamine, it makes you want to search and go further into something. So the next part is the story. So I can go on a little bit about storytelling, but not just yet. For the story part of it, you're going to go and talk about their problems and struggles. You're going to go into story mode. So you're going to want to share empathy. You want to share pain. You want to talk about how, you suffered and you're not anybody special, or you don't have any kind of special solution. You want to make it sound easy that anybody can do this. So you want to share your story of how you had problems and struggles, and then you want to talk about, obviously you get to the point where we solve them. But as you're talking, you're telling the story, and you're going over about 5 different problems in that story of walls that you hit or the problems you struggled with. In that story, they're going to bond. Like, I don't know if you know this, but they're really going to bond with that part of the story. It just clicks in their head and draws them in. If your ad right here, in your headline, all this stuff calls out to a problem, and you start telling your story and you start talking about your pain points and all your problems, it's going to super, super draw them in. So the storytelling is 60% of everything. This is super, super powerful. So as you're telling the story and you're going through your problems and struggles, they're like, yes, that's me. Yes, that's me. They're going to want the solution. Their brain is going to start spinning like, yes, okay, what do you got for me? Then you kind of hint your product. You reveal your product. You're like, that's why I came up with this book, and you hold up your book or whatever you're selling, and you're talking about how that solves their problem. But you don't want to say what it is. You don't want to say it's what's in the book. You don't want to go over that yet. You don't want to go into any kind of details because we're in story mode right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to reveal the product after we told them the pain points and the struggles about the story. And then you're going to talk about how it solves those and how it brings them away from pain and towards pleasure, and why it worked for you. And you're going to kind of tell an emotional story of how it kind of like changed you. You want to tell them what it did for you. So you're going to talk about the benefits of your product and the result you get. So you want to briefly kind of you want to briefly explain external desires. You talk about how you discovered it, and then number 7 here, massive results. The one thing gave you 5x what it's like now. So you tell them 5 times, 5 different stories of what it's like now, how it transformed your life on a external. If this is a money ad, so you could talk about how it improved your life. You got a better house, you got a better car. But those are external beliefs. Those are really always what are important. You could tell people like, oh, I got a new car, I got a new house, and this and that. Like, they don't really care. But in people's minds, what really matters to them is the internal belief. So that's why you go 5 times on that of the deep internal beliefs. You talk about how it changed your marriage, how it changed, you're a better parent. You could provide for your family. So there's a super important to hit that about 5 times or maybe even more, how it improved that part of your life. This is all the story right now, what we're telling. This is all in story mode for number 4 down. And then we're going to go to the next part here. Number 8, you're going to go to past fails of how you can avoid new ones with your product and how it improved you can talk about fails with, it depends how you want to structure your story. You want to talk about your family, you want to talk about money, you want to talk about avoiding the biggest mistakes. And you're using your past fails to align with them. Number 9, throw rocks at enemies. So you want to disqualify others because maybe they read a book before or they tried another program like yours and, maybe it didn't work. So like, I already tried that. I'm falling for that again. So what you want to do is say like, This is different. I spent a lot of time talking about why this is better than maybe other books out there or other companies that, or maybe other products like yours that maybe they tried before and they didn't have, they didn't have success with it. So you got to disqualify, discredit. Don't throw anybody's name under the bus, but just talk about why your product is better and why it's worth it for them. Okay, so this is the monetary part of it, starting here at 9. So because the first part is a story, that's 60% of the person's brain. You're selling emotion. So the story pretty much hooks them, and that really pulls them in, and one of the makes your copy work. The other part of it is money. So in order to get them to be okay with the money, because you're taking away money from whether your product's $2, $5, or hundreds or thousands of dollars, you're taking away money, and you need to make that worthwhile for them. So first part, storytelling, it's about emotions. You draw them in with that. And then the next part, this is about money. So this whole section here is how we make sure that when they're spending money with you, it's worthwhile. Because it's half is emotional, the other part is logical, and the logical part is about money. So this is what we're doing in this section here. So number 10 is proof authority figure. You want to talk about your credentials, your awards that you've won, anything that makes you kind of certified, or you don't have to be certified, but what makes you good, what the time you spent making the product, or your time in your background, how long. Even if you're new, you could say, hey, I just started recently doing this, but I've searched thousands of forums online to find this, or whatever. You just want to talk about what makes you, give them some proof. People need to be absolute certain. So I see in a lot of sales training, and they always talk about the customer needs to be certain. So they're not certain that you can solve their problem or your product can solve the problem. They're not going to buy. You want to make sure that when you're building your ad, you can close that open certainty loop in their brain. You want to close that part where they're thinking, I don't know, I don't really trust this product. I'm kind of worried that maybe somewhere in here, whether it's money or what you have to offer, if it's worth it, you want to close that. You want to make sure they're absolute certain. So always keep that in the back of your mind. Certainty is super important. Okay, so you want to talk about number 11, the benefits. You always want to give the benefits of the product. You don't want to talk about it as far as like ingredients, point of it. You want to talk about the benefits, the bullets. So I got an example here of an old time ad, and I know it's an older, and the reason why these older ads are phenomenal. This is by David Ogilvy, an amazing copywriter, ad maker. So we're gonna go back to the old stuff because the old stuff is super important. There's tons of ads today. A lot of them aren't good. So we're gonna go back to the OGs who really made all this stuff kind of happen. So what he talked about here, when I first got into copywriting, I looked at this ad. I'm like, okay, all he did was write a bunch of stuff of benefits in the. How is that copywriting? Well, I found out later on by doing a bunch of research that copywriting, bullets are like 50% strength. They weigh about 50% of your ad. So when you're building an ad, your bullets are actually super, super, super important. So you can read through here. It talks about the benefits. At 60 miles an hour, the loudest noise comes from an electric clock. So he's really drawing in your mind how quiet this car is, and that's a benefit. They're talking to educated people in this. When they're buying a Rolls Royce, it's one of the most expensive vehicles you can buy. And they're pretty much, they want to talk to an educated person and tell them why this car is so good. I'm not going to tell you like, oh, it's got 6 lug nuts and it's got a V12 engine, or, that doesn't really tell you anything. But if you tell them the quietest at 60 miles an hour, the loudest noise that comes from the electrical clock, it's going to tell you how quiet it is. So he's using a little bit of story, a little bit of detail in his bullets here to grab your mind, pull you in, and show you the benefits on this. You can pause this and read through more of these to kind of get an idea of how bullets work and benefits. And there's more that he uses online. You can always do research online to figure out more how to use bullets. So we're going back here now. Okay, so we had bullets, and can I find that again? Yep, number 11. So number 12, use social proof. A lot of places use before and after pictures, or you can use pictures with your customers if you sell like cars or something like that to show social proof, or reviews. A lot of places use reviews or pictures of customers before and after, or for salons use before and after, haircuts and all that. That really helps out a lot. This is all the monetarily logical part of the brain. So they're using logic with their brain with all these parts here. So 13, value stack. Value stack, you want to stack, even if they're buying one thing from you, there may be different parts of value in it. You can say, it's got a free delivery, or it comes with something else. You don't have to say your product itself is one thing. You can add the benefits of it. You get a salesman that helps you out, somebody that comes pick you up. Whatever it is, you got to kind of break down what you do and make, some people, if you sell one product and there's other parts that go with it, some people sell those parts. You may just offer them in a value stack, list how much they're worth, and then, tell, or maybe you do have a bonus and you're giving away a few other things with it. You're giving a PDF, a free PDF with your course, or you're giving, maybe you're giving 3 PDFs and you're giving some links how to research something or look it up. You can put a value on all that stuff and stack that and tell them, what you're getting, all that together as a discount. And it's got to kind of make sense of, you're getting line A, line B, line C, line D. Here's all the values to the right of it, how much it cost. Here's the total, and then the markdown price of what they're getting it for. Or you can compare yours to other items and show this is the price of all the other items. Here's mine. Here's how much you pay for it. And then here's what you get. You can always give them a number 14 here. We're going to look at that. You can give them a bonus. You could say it comes with a free something, a free consultation, a free phone call. Bonuses are good. So if you can come up with some kind of bonus that you could throw in there, that always helps out. They said scarcity, double sales. So number 15 here, scarcity. If you could put a timer on it, or say put a date, it ends here. This makes your ad double sales for a lot of people. So, but if it's done right, you can put a timer on it, and that will help your sales quite a bit. There's a website called Deadline Timers that you can go to if you want to put a timer on your product, and it will actually expire and be real, so you don't have some fake timer on there that that's on your website that they refresh the page and the timer starts. You don't want to ever seem fake. You're going to kind of lose trust in people. So it's always good to use Deadline Timer or Deadline Funnels, I believe .com. You can go there and check that out. 16, it's always good to give a guarantee or warranty. It helps make the sale. If it's something you can't do, I understand. But if you can say, hey, there's a money-back guarantee, a 30-day guarantee, or a warranty, definitely list that. It's going to help you sell. And then at the end of it, you want to recap. You want to give them directions of what they're going to get and how to get it. So what they expect. You kind of walk them through, okay, you're going to go to our sales page and you're going to get a PDF download from us, or you're going to get it in the mail in 3 to 4 days. Click the button below. That's your 18 call to action. And then 19 is always kind of cool to have a PS, because sometimes some people will look at the very beginning of your letter, scroll all the way down to the bottom and look at the PS. If you could find something kind of cool to put there, or like a little bonus in it or something, or a little something, that always kind of helps, because people will skim your ad and go to the bottom of that. All right, so I know this is kind of a lot to kind of handle, and it's really hard for me to spend a lot of time on the storytelling and then break that down, but I'll give you a tip here, because I could probably spend a half an hour doing it or more. Look up, there's something called the hero's journey, and I would research and watch videos on it, so you can use that, how to talk to your customers and tell them your story of how you started, you ran into a wall, and you may have failed 4 or 5 times, and you talk about the struggles that you went through, about 5 or 6 times. Then you discovered the one thing, and then you talk about how it's changed your life. Sometimes in a hero's journey, I know this is getting complicated, it's not really totally necessary, But sometimes when people go through the journey and they get money, it's not all what they wanted to be. So the reward at the end is there was a transformation, and it's kind of like maybe they did all this for money, and they found out later it wasn't about the money. The money didn't make them happy, and the big reward at the end was helping people out. Maybe you can use the money to help people or family. Sometimes it's a big reward, and that's a really cool thing, a part of Hero's Journey you can search for. Here's another one, Rick and Morty. This talks about how they go on through their journey. But what I do is, if you want to talk about your journey, I would definitely talk about the pains and the story of how you had your problems. So number 4, the story. Talk about your problems and struggles. Go into story mode there. Give them empathy. Say, hey, I understand. I've been here. And you talk about 5 problems that you went through. And then you could talk, and then you say, okay, then you reveal your product, and then you go into how it helped you out and it solved your problems. I would actually probably put that, maybe you can move this around number 7 to right after you reveal your product or book. But you're gonna find out kind of what kind of comes natural to you. This, there's a bunch of different ways, or there's a bunch of different copywriters out there, and I've seen this kind of like moved around a little bit. So I don't really think this is super important. It's super important you get out your story and talk about your struggles. If you try to just sell something without a story, you're gonna lose pretty much most of the power in it. Without a good headline, you're gonna have nobody look at it. It's not gonna grab anybody in. So spend some time, look up online on how headlines work. And what I mean by that is, like right here, I got how I made 20K in 5 days. Let's say how I, sometimes you could put a warning, watch out for this, or caution on this, caution on that, reach out to a pain point, grab their attention, bring them in, and then you could tell them your story. And that will help you bond with your customers if they're interested in your product or they want what you want. Don't chase after people. Try to sell a product to people where they don't have the same pain points and struggles. If you try to make your story too wide, too big, and take away that kind of niche down part of it and try to appeal to everybody generally, your story won't connect. So usually what people do when they're copywriting, they'll really come up with an idea of their avatar, the avatar meaning who they're selling to, and they'll find out a lot of their struggles. And I could do struggles on my businesses because I get feedback from people and I understand, like, here's the top, 20 things that they think about or problems that they have. And I'll write them down and I'll just keep making notes of it, more notes. And then I'll just keep the notepad ready. And every time I hear somebody talk about a problem, I'll write it down. And then I'll kind of keep track of the 5 or 10 big ones. And then I'll hit those pain points in my story. And then you're going to pretty much really, really connect with most of your customers. Super, super powerful. I don't know if you really understand how powerful this is, but if you can get this down and try it in some ads and you do it correctly, you're going to see how powerful it really is. So in this last part here, I kind of broke down a little bit more of the story because I feel like this is pretty much a very important part of it. The other stuff is pretty easy to hit, like your bullets and your benefits and your social proof and, a value stack. You can go online and search it, see other people maybe in your industry doing something like that, or just look up value stacks in general. Bonuses, that's not hard to figure out. Scarcity, that's simple. But the story is kind of like something that you probably need to really hone and really reach out to their problems. So you want to discover their pain. What are their problems? What do they talk about that bothers them? And then they're always going to be looking to solve the pain. So once you talk to them about the problem, or they discover their problem, you're gonna like, as you're going down your story, they're gonna look to solve their pain. So you got to kind of solve that pain. Talk about their pain points about 5 to 10 times. Found solution. You want to make sure that when you found the solution, it was easy, because if you feel like if it's a difficult thing, or you try to say there's multiple solutions, do not say there's multiple solutions. Say there's one solution, that we found the one thing. Because if you tell, well, I got 3 different solutions, I got 3 different ways to solve this they're going to go, all right, this is not easy. People want easy. So then number 5, what life is like now, the outer emotions. So you want to talk about what life is like now. Outer emotions are, I want money. I want a new house. I want to get some new clothes. Money, house, car, and money for business. Number 6, here's what you got to hit on too. This is really this is more important than outer emotions. What it means to you, or what it means to the customer, their inner emotions. They really care about being a good parent, a good friend, or helping people. So on the outside of all the money and the cars and stuff like that, the inner emotions are what are really important. So you want to talk about that and dig into inner emotions. You can look them up online. But when you're talking about that in your ad, try to know your avatar so you can reach those inner emotions of what your typical avatar. If you're dealing with, you're helping out pregnant mothers, then those are going to be different emotions than maybe a young entrepreneur, or maybe you're talking to, older people, you have an older crowd. Those inner, those inner goals and inner emotions are going to be a little bit different than your different avatars. So make sure you kind of nail that down and talk to those people's problems a little more specifically. Like I said at the bottom here, make sure it makes your avatar happy. That's super important. You want to connect and align with their feelings, and make sure you use emotion and align with them. I kind of stress that quite a bit. So, and like I said, I cannot stress enough about how results in advance are, how important that is. To reach out to them. You got to really be able to, after I did copywriting for a while, and I was getting into it, and I was taking notes, and I was just really studying it. And then after a while, it kind of clicked on me. You want to make sure that you give them results in advance, something they can see in your headline, and they can go in their head, yes, that's what I want. Boom. And the stronger you make that, the stronger your headline, you make that headline, the more people you're going to grab to look at your ad. If you don't grab them, they don't look at your ad. It's just passed through. So make sure you really work on that headline, get those results in advance dialed in, and really, I got another headline video on YouTube, so look for that in my channel and check that out. So I want to thank you for checking this out. Like this on, click the like button. And if you can, subscribe, because you may not find this channel again. There's so many videos out there. So hit subscribe so that way when I release another one, you can get to it. And thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.